Hi everyone, welcome to SFDC Stop. In this video, we are going to talk about how we can connect to Salesforce using Postman. I created a similar video long back. In that video, I was using the username password flow for authorization. This video is going to be much simpler than that. In this video, we are going to use the authorization code flow, or I can say the web server flow in order to authorize. So let's see what we need to do. First of all, you can simply log into your Salesforce org. You can go to setup, and here you can search for app. You will find an option named as App Manager. Click on this. Now on the App Manager page, you will see a button named as New Connected App. Click on this button. Now we need to specify the name for our connected app. But first of all, why are we creating a connected app? Whenever you are integrating Postman or let's say any other external system with Salesforce, you are going to send some requests to Salesforce, right? And those requests are going to perform some kind of operations. The type of operation that the external system can perform or cannot perform are defined in this connected app. So first of all, let's give it a name. I'm going to name my connected app as Postman. API name can be Postman. Contact email can be rahul@sfdcstop.com. I can scroll down and here we can enable auth settings because we are going to use auth 2.0 web server flow, right? Let's enable this. Now we need to specify a callback URL. You can specify any trusted URL right here. Postman also provides us a callback URL. In case you want to use that, you can use that as well. But for now, we are going to specify, let's say, https www.google.com. I can scroll down and here I need to specify the permissions I'm giving to my connected app who is going to act on my behalf to perform operations in Salesforce. For now, let's say I just want my Postman to deal with user data. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to scroll down right here. And here you can see we have an option which says manage user data via APIs. You can select this and click on add. And if you see, we have this option selected, manage user data via APIs. Now using this option, you can perform any kind of DML, any kind of query because all that is user data, right? Based on your requirement, you can select other scopes as well. For example, let's say if I want to use chatter, then I can select this and add it to my selected auth scopes. For now, we are just going to keep this one scope right here. The rest of the options can remain as is. You can scroll down and click on save. It may take up to 10 minutes for our connected app to be ready. Click on continue. Just in case you are not able to authorize or you are facing some issues, then you can wait for 10 minutes and then you can try authorizing again. This is our connected app detail page. You can scroll down and you will find an option here which says consumer key and secret. This is what we need to connect Postman to Salesforce. You can click on this button which says manage consumer details and here you will find the consumer key and secret. So it just emailed a verification code to my email. I can find that out. So let me just enter the verification code and I can click on verify. Now if you see, we have the consumer key and consumer secret both ready. We can now move to Postman and perform the rest of the steps. First of all, let's create a new tab. Here we can click on the authorization subtab. And now we need to select the type of authorization. We are using auth 2.0 here. So I'm going to select auth 2.0, this one. If I scroll down right here, I have an option to configure a new token. We can give the token name. Let's say the name is SFDC top token. For grant type, we have a couple of options, but we are going to stick to authorization code because we are going to use authorization code flow, or I can say web server flow, right? The callback URL should be the same that you have specified in your connected app. So if you remember, in my connected app, I have specified the callback URL as google.com. So I'm just going to keep the same callback URL right here. Now we need to specify the authorization URL. For Salesforce, the authorization URL is going to be this one. So it is my domain name .my.salesforce.com/services/auth2/authorize. Okay, I'm just going to copy this and paste it right here. In this URL, you need to replace this base URL, or I can say the base endpoint, with the base endpoint of your org. So you can simply remove this and you can go to your org and search for my domain in the setup. You can click on my domain, and here you will find the current my domain URL of your org. You can copy this one and you can come back and paste it right here. I'm just going to append HTTPS in the beginning. So this is my authorization URL. Now for the access token URL, the base endpoint will be the same, which is this one. So I can simply copy and paste it right here. And after this, we will have, I can scroll down, /services /auth2/token. This is going to be the access token URL. I can copy this part and I can paste it right here. Now we need to specify the client ID. And if you remember, we have the consumer key and consumer secret from our connected app. This consumer key is nothing but a client ID. So I'm just going to copy it and I can go back and paste it. For client secret, it is nothing but the consumer secret. Let's copy it, go back and paste it right here. Okay. Now we need to specify the scope. Scope is nothing but the auth scope that we specified in our connected app. So what we can do, we can go back to our app. So if you see, we have an app named as Postman. We can open this, click on view. And here you will find the selected auth scopes. And if you remember, we specified this API scope for our connected app. So I'm just going to specify the scope as API. State is nothing but any additional text which is appended to our URL for additional security. We can specify any value here. For example, I'm specifying it as my state, and I can choose this option itself. Send client credentials in the body. Now what we need to do, we need to click on this button which says get new access token. Let's click on this button. Now if you see, it has redirected me to the login page of Salesforce. Here I can enter my username and password and log in with my account. Because if you remember, we are authorizing the connected app to act on our behalf, right? So we need to log in into Salesforce. I'm just going to specify the username right here, which is this, and the password, which is this, and I'm going to click on login. Now if you see, we have the auth scope mentioned right here. That Postman, which is nothing but the name of our connected app, is asking to manage user data via APIs. And this is the same auth scope that we selected, manage user data via APIs, right? So ideally, the name of your connected app should be the same as the name of your external system. Here my external system is nothing but Postman. That is why I have mentioned my connected app name as Postman. Here Salesforce is asking me whether I authorize my connected app, which is nothing but Postman, or not, to act on my behalf and perform these operations. And Postman is going to use the same connected app, right? Because it has the client ID and client secret. You can simply click on allow. And here if you see, the authentication is complete. Now if you see, we have a new token here named as SFDC stop token. And this is my access token which I have got through Salesforce. There is some other information as well. For example, the instance URL, when this token was issued, and client ID, client secret, etc. What you can do, you can simply click on use token. Now if you see, we have a pop-up which says access token added, and I can show it to you as well. If you see, the access token is added right here as well. The token is SFDC stop token, and I can show it to you in the headers as well. So if you go to headers, and I'm going to show the hidden headers. Here you can see we have an authorization header, and the value of the header is nothing but bearer, then space, then our access token. Now you can perform any kind of request to Salesforce, and it is going to use this access token automatically. I'm going to make the same request again that we did in the previous tutorial. So I'm just going to open my blog here, and here we can select this request, which is this one. So we are going to make this request, and I can do some changes here. Instead of version 42, now it's version 57. And the base URL as well I can update. So if you remember, the base URL of my org is this. I can simply copy this, and instead of this base URL, I can paste the new URL right here. So what we are doing here, we are calling our query API. We are calling the query API, and we are performing a query to my Salesforce org, which says select name, type from account. I'm going to click on send. And here you can see the response. So there are 13 records in my org, 13 accounts. And for each account, I have the name and I have the type as well. Okay. It is coming right here. If you see, this is the name, this is the type. This is the name, this is the type, right? So this is how you can connect to Salesforce using Postman, using the web server flow. The last thing that I wanted to show here is that you can also check this option which says authorize using browser. And in this case, Postman will give you a callback URL. So you can pick up this callback URL and specify the same in your connected app right here. So instead of specifying any random callback URL, you can actually use this callback URL as well. And in this case, Postman will use your browser, whatever the default browser you are having, to authorize. You can give this a try as well. Otherwise, this is also fine. So that's all for this video. I hope you liked it. Let me know your feedback in the comments down below. If you want, we can dig deeper into the details of how this authorization is working, and I can create a video on that as well. Let me know in the comments down below if you would like to learn about that.